Daniel Jeremiah here on the Rich Eisen Show. Didn't Ohtani knock on the Padres door?
Yeah, we were close. It's close. And that, Rich, that's
you were though. Seriously,
we have all. I think Nomo's working for the Padres now. We have all these different connections to him.
Okay.
I think there's affiliation with the Padres and his team. And I really believe that could have been the difference between 60 and 70 wins for us this year. What could have been?
Nice. Well, before we get to our football chat, while we're on the subject of Mookie Betts, the old Gen Staterator, this is really great based on what he did last night. Hit it.
Old Gen Stats.
Brought to you by TrueCar. Car shopping can be confusing. Terms like dealer price, list price, invoice. Guess what? TrueCar makes it so simple because it just basically shows you what other people paid for the car you want, so you can recognize a good price when you're ready. Speaking of price, David Price won last night. When you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. He became the third player aged 25 or younger with 3 or more career 3 home run games, because that was just the first of 3 for Mookie Betts last night. The others, Boog Powell, 1963 to 1966, and Ralph Kiner from 1947 to 1948. But we're going to do you one better. Third career game with 3 or more home runs ties Ted Williams for most such games in the history of the Red Sox and in the history of baseball. Since 1908. 2 walks and 3 home runs for the leadoff spot. The only player to do it, Mookie Betts. Old Gen Stat.
Old Gen Stats.
That's phenomenal.
Isn't that amazing?
He's very good.
And I actually grew up with a guy named Boog, and now I know maybe where he got his name from.
Did you not put that together?
No, I never heard that one.
Boog Powell.
Yeah, never heard of Boog Powell, but I had a guy who was a good baseball player. His name was Boog. I thought it was a very unique name.
Boog Powell was on all those Miller Lite commercials back in the day. You don't remember those Miller Lite commercials with Madden and Mickey
I remember the
Spillane
Madden ones, yeah.
You know, and yeah.
Yeah, it's not ringing a bell.
Okay.
Been hit a couple times, Rich.
All right, let's get to it. Back in Appalachian
That's
State?
hard turf there at App State.
Tell me about it. Although it wasn't at App State. All right, moving on.
Yep.
Why Josh Allen for the Browns in your mock draft, number 1 overall? Why
I did. I ended up going stuck with Darnold in it. So I've had Darnold through the whole process. I almost made the switch at the last minute to put Josh Allen in there. And if I went by what I was hearing,
so you went with Darnold.
Yeah, I have Darnold.
Okay.
So you got a faulty tip there.
No. I got it now. Go for it.
So
Darnold,
I
you have
ended
Darnold.
up. I normally do these, and I've told you this before on mock drafts. I usually go by what I'm hearing, not by what necessarily I would do.
Right.
This was the one exception, because if I went on what I'm hearing with the number 1 pick, overwhelmingly you hear Josh Allen,
right,
with folks around the league. And then I actually even typed it in, and it just said this doesn't feel right. I just can't see him doing this. So I went ahead and stuck with Sam Darnold there.
So you would agree with the Browns selection of Darnold? Number 1
I think that should be the pick.
And then the Giants, you have them going Saquon.
Yep, had them going Saquon Barkley there, and kind of go back and forth, and I just keep coming back. I mean, when you make such a statement, I know everybody's referenced it a million times, but when you make this statement, we want a guy we can envision in a gold jacket, to me, it's like, okay, well, who's the best candidate for that? It's the best player in the draft, and that's Saquon Barkley, so that's why I went there.
So what about all the conversation that it could be Chubb or another quarterback? You think that the Giants are taking a look at everything around and saying Eli's still a better option with Davis Webb?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be more interesting if Darnold didn't go 1. Say if Josh Allen goes 1, then I think they have maybe more of a decision to make there. Maybe they do go quarterback. Maybe that is Sam Darnold there. But I think if they're going to stick right there, Darnold's off the board. You know, I think Eli at 37, but Dave Gettleman's been there around good Eli when they've won championships, and maybe he feels like he can hold on a couple more years and give him some help instead of trying to replace him.
Why is Sam Darnold the best, according to your
to me,
Daniel?
I've had him as the best guy through the whole process, and talk about what he does in the framework of the offense, but then what makes him special is what he can do under pressure when things break down, the creativity that he brings. I think him and Rosen are the top 2 guys. And I think the difference between him and Josh are that Sam can create and Sam can take a beating. I mean, Sam has been able to get up from the mat each and every time. The durability thing with Josh, I think that's a legitimate concern. I was at the Cotton Bowl. Sam got hit 27 times when I went back and charted that against Ohio State. Wasn't his best game, but he threw for 350 yards. But more impressively to me, the dude got up. play after play after play, and he got smoked in that game. So his toughness to me is a big deal. The last thing, Rich, too, is Sam Darnold's 20. I think it's 2 years and 4 months on draft day. He'll be younger than Carson Wentz. So if you look at it in that frame of mind and say, okay, he's got some time here. He got plenty of time.
Daniel Jeremiah here on the Rich Eisen Show. So with the Jets sitting there at 3 and every quarterback not named Darnold off the board, who do you think they go?
Personally, I would take Josh Rosen. I think that would be a good pick for them. But
Why do you think that would be a good pick for them?
I think it comes down with the Jets. I don't know, see where you are on this. I think whoever the Jets take will get on the field fastest of any of these rookie quarterbacks. So to me, you're looking at guys that are ready to play early, and that comes down to 2 guys. That's Mayfield and that's Josh Rosen. Now, I think Josh is a more polished player working inside the pocket. I think he's going to be a little bit more advanced than Baker is coming in the door. But I think both those guys can get on the field. And I think with where their offensive line is right now, I think Baker's mobility could be a little bit of the deciding factor there. And he's not Russell Wilson, but he can get out of some of the trouble that offensive line is going to put you in.
So you think he would be the pick by the Jets over Rosen right now?
Yeah, as we stand 8 days to go.
And then you say the Browns take Chubb 4th, and then the first Josh off the board goes to Denver with Allen.
Yeah, and that one could be a trade to me. That wouldn't shock me at all.
Why would Denver trade out?
Because you're sitting there saying, okay, if we're comfortable with Case Keenum for a couple years, let's kick the quarterback decision down the road a couple years, and let's ride with Case Keenum. Let's get somebody that can help us, and that could be an extremely valuable slot there because where those quarterbacks are situated. And there's a lot of love for Josh Allen when you talk to folks around the league. Maybe that's a Buffalo, maybe that's an Arizona, one of those teams, maybe even a Miami potentially coming up to that 5th spot, and John Elway can get a nice little haul there.
All right, so I want to take a break because back in 60 seconds, you have Josh Rosen falling out of the top 10, and then you have Lamar Jackson falling out of the first round completely. And I want to know what you're thinking about that, where you would believe that might not be the case.
Yeah.
And then, again, you tweeted out you have heard some bananas crazy rumors. And I need you to put a little bit more meat on those bones. Okay?
We'll discuss.
All right, we'll discuss. That's in 60 seconds with Daniel Jeremiah here on The Rich Eisen Show. Daniel Jeremiah at Move the Sticks on Twitter. His Move the Sticks podcast with Bucky Brooks comes out every single Monday and Thursday, and he will be sitting on draft night 1, 2, and 3 with me all picks 1 through Mr. Irrelevant.
Hydrate and rest, Rich.
Me, you, and Mayock. We got David Shaw from Stanford night 1, and then Charles Davis, Chuck D from rounds 2 through 7 with us. That'll be fun.
Here's my biggest challenge right now with this draft.
Yes.
I've got B.J. Hill, defensive tackle from NC State, and I've got P.J. Hall, defensive tackle from Sam Houston State.
Be careful.
It's dangerous. It's the kind of, it's occupational hazard. No question.
If you don't mix your hills and halls, brother.
No. BJ's the whole thing.
You can't have
messy.
it. You can't. Yes, they. Chris Brockman, let's get to the poll question today. Brought to you by our friends at Farmers Insurance, bound to take some unexpected turns. Farmers Insurance can help you understand your coverage options with our practical knowledge gained from more than 90 years of experience. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. Find an agent at farmers.com. Go for it.
As first reported by Daniel Jeremiah in the Washington Post last week, the
Nice.
NFL draft is in 8 days. Who is most likely to drop in the NFL draft? Which of these 4 guys? Josh Rosen, Saquon Barkley, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson.
And I guess that's a perfect way to start the Honda Insider Report right here, brought to you by the Honda Pilot with you, Daniel Jeremiah. How would you answer that question?
Ooh. Well, I would say when I hear drop, I think of expectation versus where you eventually land.
Yes.
So when in that regard, I could see it being Rosen, just talking to people around the league. I think there's a chance when you've got those 4 quarterbacks viewed up there, the consensus seems to be we're going to see 3 of them go in those top 5 picks. So that 4th one, I could be very well see a team trade up and get in there
Sure.
and get them. But in mock drafts, I don't do trades. In this latest one, I have Rosen dropping out of the top 10. And even if we get to draft night, and if he slid a little bit and maybe got towards 10 in that range, that wouldn't shock me.
So why Rosen dropping out of the top 10? I mean, what is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, look, and I always come back to it and say my order, how I have them: Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen.
Right.
But the ones Josh Allen just gets so much so much heat and so much love when you talk to people around the league. It's overwhelming. So I can't. I'm just.
Why?
There's
Because he's
smoke
been such a hard worker which he has been. And I don't mean. I shouldn't say it in a way that sounds like I'm denigrating his hard work. He does have hard work. He has made himself into what he is right now. He's been overlooked his entire life, right? Which is why few people have even seen him play football. And I think the fact that Carson Wentz came from a similar situation and has been so spectacular that everybody thinks he's the next one, and his measurables from the combine mirror Carson Wentz's. That said, Rosen has been working his ass off too, mostly, but he gets downgraded for his intelligence. He gets downgraded for his inquisitiveness. He gets downgraded for being an a-hole, basically, which, we have Trent Dilfer on the show tomorrow, said, we butted heads when he was 16, 17, but now he's a different kid. Haven't scouts and executives seen that from him through this process?
No, I think so. And we just put out our Josh Rosen 360 podcast where we talked to his high school coach. We talked to teammates of his at UCLA. We had Moore on. We had everybody on. Dilfer, MJD, all those guys. So it was great getting some feedback there. Look, and maybe I'm getting lied to, Rich, but when I talk to people around the league, the concerns that come up with Josh Rosen are not personality-based. It's more so about the injuries that he's suffered. And, remember when Bridgewater was coming out, so much was made about his narrow frame. Josh's frame comes up a little bit, and they say, can he withstand the beating that you're going to take at that position? So I hear more durability concerns, and if you're comparing him directly with Josh Allen, I think he's a better player than Josh Allen, but you talk about, build. I mean, Josh Allen's built like a mountain.
Sure.
So that's where some of that stuff comes in.
And I say this in the most kind way. All right. And I say this to somebody how long were you a scout for those?
8 years.
8 years as a scout. Having done this as long as I have with the NFL Network and being as locked into the NFL draft as I possibly can be, reading all the stories that I can possibly read on everybody, it seems to me, with all due respect, there's no worse person in sports than the unnamed NFL scout. Chatty, never putting their name to it, and saying some of the most awful, off-the-wall, crazy things. Defend the unnamed NFL scout.
No, I'll do it. I'll do it for you. First, a couple reasons for it. People always wonder, why are these guys talking? Why are the scouts talking? And I'll give you an example. But when I started scouting, the scouts in 03, 04 had so much more pull and input in their building and in the process. Over the years, that's become a top-heavy decision-making process, so scouts have not been as important. So they're out on the road for 200 days a year. They compile all this background. They compile all these notes on guys, and they're sitting here, I don't have a voice. So they reach out to people that'll hear them because they want to get their opinions out there. Now, personally, I do a thing called Ask Five, where I'll ask 5 guys. I don't put their names on it. I never go negative on that. I'll never ask for any negative information on guys. I don't care to do that. I don't want to get in that business. I don't do it. I do think there is some value. The guys are never going to put their name on it because they'll get fired inside their building. But there's some value. I wrote something today I pulled 5 guys on who are ideal fit. Can you give me an ideal fit for a player in a team? So, I get somebody brought up, Calvin Ridley with the Patriots would make sense. Obviously, the Belichick-Saban connection, and they lose a Brandon Cooks. There's a lot of different things. I'd never even really put those two together. So I think there's something cool that people can get from, quote-unquote, an anonymous scout. But I've never been a fan of we're going to bash kids and we're going to get into character and all that stuff. I don't buy that.
Well, and then the only person, I guess, who's less worse or just as bad is unnamed NFL executive, like the one who said about Rosen that we don't need him tweeting about politics when there's a 5-game losing streak going on.
Yeah.
I've been around him. He was sitting in that chair. I didn't get that vibe from him at all. He did say that he wouldn't do that anymore, that the F Trump hat that he wore, right,
was a mistake.
Was a mistake. He even said that. Now with Lamar Jackson as well, it seems that there's all this stuff out there that his mom, being his manager, is discounting him. It's tough to get in touch with him. Is that the case with him?
Well, yeah, I've heard all those stories.
These are unnamed scouts, unnamed executives.
Yeah.
And then there are named pundits or people who talk sports for a living who think that he's not going to be good when the chips are down, third and long. What do you say to something like that?
Well, look, all the stuff with his mom representing him and all that, I think you can be able to kind of work through that and navigate that. It's unique. It's different, definitely a different situation, especially for a top-tier quarterback. To me, with Lamar, when we talked to his high school coach, they changed their offense to fit Lamar. When you talk to the coaches at Louisville, they changed that system to build it around Lamar. He just needs to find the right people that are going to change what they're doing, because I have a tough time sliding him into what people are doing currently with these teams that need quarterbacks. It's going to be definitely a change of philosophy. But we saw Houston navigate those waters last year. When Deshaun Watson took over, they saw him totally morph and change that offense. It looked like you were watching Clemson, truthfully, when you watched Houston. So it's just finding the team that's willing to do that, that's willing to change and do that.
Well, Baltimore has Greg Roman sitting there on their staff. He did that with Kaepernick.
Yeah, he did it with Kaepernick, and you've got there's another, Bucky's even talked about this before. There's
Mornhinweg sitting on that
Mornhinweg
staff?
was there with Mike Vick.
Right,
and,
he was talking about that just yesterday.
Yeah. So, no, and that would be something that's legitimate. I could definitely see that. I get mixed signals out of Baltimore when I talk to folks there. I get
and that's your old spot.
Yeah, no, there's definitely people in the Flacco camp, and there's people in the camp of we need to go find somebody else.
Honda Insider Report here with Daniel Jeremiah. So why would you see Lamar Jackson with no trades just dropping right out?
I just don't know which team to put him with. If you were to say, at the end of the day, is he a first-round pick or a second-round pick? I would say I still think he'll end up being a first-round pick, but it's putting a team to it. And when you're not doing trades, I think you very well could see a team that maybe passes on one in the top part of the draft could come back in and trade back in. We've seen that numerous times. But I just have, you hear New England. I've heard New England mentioned with him. And then I just sitting here thinking, man, Brady's got 1 or 2 years left. I get trying to get somebody to take over for him, but their track record has been drafting guys outside the first round, so that's not really the way they've operated. Baltimore, maybe is that too early for Lamar Jackson? Are they going to try and get somebody else? They have so many other needs on their roster. Those are the two teams that make sense. Cincinnati, I guess, would be another one. But to me, is that a comeback into the bottom of the first round situation? I don't know. I just couldn't pin him down with one specific team.
Daniel Jeremiah here in the Honda Insider Report. All right, now let's get to it. You tweeted that out about crazy draft rumors. What
Bucky said you were trying to pry it. You were trying to pry him yesterday.
Yes,
Did he stand strong?
Yes, because we're sitting here on this show and we don't want false rumor mongering. We don't want that.
Oh yeah.
But
is it technically a specific rumor? It's a rumor of a rumor.
What do you mean? I mean, like, are we getting into Kevin Bacon here or something like that?
I was messing with you. Look, we were getting phone calls from people from teams saying there's some crazy stuff going on. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
All I'll say is that it was a lot of it had to center around Buffalo and with Buffalo and their efforts to get a quarterback. So that was kind of the centerpiece of it. But in talking to folks that are very well connected with that organization, what you hear is, hey, if something does happen, it probably would not happen until teams are on the clock, and that would probably be the team at number 2 you'd keep an eye on.
Yeah, because so now I'm connecting your dots with the breadcrumbs that Bucky left here yesterday.
Yeah.
And the fact that for the Bills to get up to number 2 would probably require somebody else coming into this trade, like an NBA trade, in the way that Bucky said. Yeah. Because in order for them to get up to, say, 6 to get to a beachfront position that the Giants would consider trading out of, because the Giants aren't trading out of 2 to go down to 12, one would think.
That's a long way to go.
That's a long way to go. So they've got to get closer to the Giants before Gettleman's going to answer a phone call from Western New York saying, let's strike a trade. So that's where maybe we're bringing somebody else in, right?
And look, all the specifics were not laid out. We were just hearing all this buzz and all these rumors, and I'm just like, this is crazy. This is nuts. But so I'm sitting here like you're trying to put the pieces together, trying to figure out what it is. And I've heard from a bunch of folks, hey, Chris Ballard would like to get out of 6. He's already traded back from 3 to 6, and maybe there's a chance he could even trade back further.
Well, that's close enough to the Giants.
So does that get close enough to the water?
Because at that point in time, you're in Quentin Nelson territory. You're in territory potentially for the third quarterback available. Should that be, or Chubb?
Yeah.
If he at all possibly drops, you don't think he drops out of the top 5?
I don't think so. The thing is, though, the likelihood of getting all these different parties to agree on something, I'm very skeptical that could happen. But that's just part. I mean, there's names floating around there, like veteran names, and I'm like, get out of here. He's not going to get traded. But you just hear all this stuff. I've never had a year like this where there's just so much swirling around.
Tell me the name's Brady. Is that name Brady?
No, it was not Brady.
Okay. You just got all sick to your stomach.
Are we going to move up, though? The Pats moving up?
No.
That's not really their style. I think they're more likely to go in reverse the way they do it.
I was about to say we. Are we moving up to a higher floor, or you meant the Patriots when you said we?
I meant
got
us
it.
in general.
I
Yeah.
said
The royal way.
we're moving on up to the east side, but
Yeah,
you
that's
knew
what I'm
that
saying.
already.
Yeah. Royal way.
The Honda Insider Report, again, is brought to you by the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event. The best part of spring outside of baseball is exactly that. The great deal on the comfortable 2018 Honda Pilot is available for you right now at your local Honda dealer where they're holding a Honda Dream Garage Spring Event. Great stuff as always, sir.
Thanks, buddy.
I look forward to it. Hydrate. Tape your ankles,
Yeah.
as Mooch is going to say.
Yeah.
Mooch is on the outside set with Aikman and Steve Smith. We're on the inside set.
Can Dallas outdo Philly? That's my question.
Philly was an incredible spectacle for many reasons. One, because of the
Historical
outdoor
landmark.
space. Okay, the Rocky Steps, and then the outdoor space that could fit all of 70, 80, 100,000 people on Ben Franklin Parkway. That was incredible. The energy was amazing when the Eagles were on the clock, and then the Drew Pearson moment, sucking in all their hate and spitting it back, only to have Philadelphia win that Super Bowl that year. It's kind of a tough spot for Dallas to overcome, but draft halls have been hotel, dining rooms, to Radio City Music Hall. The Felt Forum, I think, was once at Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
Radio City Music Hall, and then that beautiful spot, Roosevelt University Auditorium in Chicago. This is going to be, we haven't seen anything like what we're about to see. So I don't know is the answer. We will see.
Usually, though, Texas football, I think.
Well, plus
It's
you're going to
gonna be
get
big.
fans all from the center of the country that normally can't drive to a draft.
Good point.
The Bayou.
Well, the people in the Northeast are so crazy. They're
New
coming
Mexico.
anyways.
We're going to
They're
see
still
fans.
coming.
Fans are going to come from everywhere.
Yeah.
In that area. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be very, very exciting.
Can't wait, man.
Look forward to seeing you, sir. We'll see you next week. That's Daniel Jeremiah.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.